Here is why and how to stop questioning yourself and start proving yourself right. Every single choice or a decision that you make, and your lifestyle as a whole, all of this is open for interpretation until you give the final word with your actions. Let me share a story with you. I'm going to be talking about my friend Sami. So, hello Sami if you're listening to this or watching this. Around a year and a half ago, he said that he wants to embark on a journey around his country. I will not be sharing too much or too many personal details. He will have the freedom to share more on his channel because he is an up-and-coming creator. So around a year and a half ago, he expressed his willingness, desire, dream to embark on a journey around his country, having a very specific idea on what is the meaning behind that journey. However, it required for him to work a bit extra, to save some extra money, to prepare a camping van that he was going to take on that journey, and to take care of multiple other things in his life. And I was someone who was in direct and regular contact with him during that preparation period. However, when the originally planned date of departure approached, he said that there is a small delay because of working on the van. Then another couple of weeks later, there was another delay. Then another delay, and then he said, okay, now it's not the best timing because I have some other private stuff to take care of, so I'm going to strategically delay. And all in all, the whole delay lasted for multiple months. Now, why is this relevant for you? Because it was very easy in this moment to start doubting Sami, to say he's not departing, he's not going on that journey. It was all talk. What are you talking about? Strategic planning and all of these delays? This is just procrastination, this is just fear, this is maybe not putting in enough work to actually be able to depart. So many interpretations could be made to say, no, he's not doing it. But how do we arrive at the truth? Not through interpretation and not through Sami convincing me or someone else that he's actually going to go. We arrive at the correct interpretation through action. So Sami didn't try to convince me or anyone else that all of the delays were justified. He didn't try to convince me or someone else that it was actually strategically postponing so that he can be well prepared. He proved it through action. Now it's been multiple weeks that Sami has been on the road. He's living his dream. He's living out the journey that he envisioned for himself. He gave the final word through his actions. He gave the final and the only correct interpretation through his actions. There is nothing that we can conclude from those moment-to-moment interpretations. Once again, how does this relate to you? When you are not at your most productive and you are deciding to take more rest, that's a dilemma that a lot of people have. A lot of people come to me, people with creative aspirations, people with intellectual aspirations, people with great ambitions. They have this dilemma. How much to push myself versus how much to rest. Well, no one can say if your rest is actually for the sake of greater output down the line, or if your rest is avoidance and procrastination. No one can say it until you give the final word and final interpretation through action. We can imagine the same person taking a week or two to rest. And then we can imagine that same person in two alternate universes taking a different route. After a couple of weeks of rest, that person can return to their goal with greater intensity because they have taken adequate rest and have taken advantage of that rest time to maybe plan. While in another scenario, another alternate universe, that person, after a couple of weeks, gives in to the avoidance and procrastination that might be caused or incentivized through lack of activity. And that person abandons his or her project or goal. So there is no correct interpretation made by others in the moment of your choice to rest, to postpone the execution of a goal or sharing of a project, to take a slight detour, to make a pivot in a different direction. No one No one can say that. You can take me, for example. I have started and stopped writing multiple times before I started doing it and sharing it publicly online. Now, after 6 years of consistent writing, I can say that was preparation. That was preparation. I can also be honest and say a lot of it was fear, a lot of it was insecurity, but I can also say, yeah, I'm now viewing that period as period of preparation and testing and trying to figure out what I want to talk about or how to express myself. But if I was starting and stopping, and taking periods of self-reflection and then never went on this streak of 6 years, I wouldn't be able to say that was a period of preparation. So once again, so many of you have this dilemma. Am I resting? Because while talking to people or when talking to people, what often comes up is their doubt in their own choices and decisions. Am I really resting? Am I really making the right pivot? There is no way to say until you prove it through your actions down the line and through results. Results are not fully in our control, we have to acknowledge that, but with adequate action, even if the result is not the ideal, the originally imagined one, still there is result in the accumulated work. So we can look at that as evidence. Result of accumulated work, not necessarily result in the sense of reaching the specific target. So once again, no one can interpret your choices, your decisions, your organization of your journey. No one can interpret it until you give the final word and final interpretation through your actions, you showing up for yourself, and you producing results in the form of accumulated work. Thank you.